In the previous class, we have discussed about the acute hematogenous osteomyelitis. We have discussed each and every points about that thing. Today, we will discuss about the chronic osteomyelitis. The chronic osteomyelitis is very difficult to treat completely, very difficult to treat, very difficult to eradicate completely. Because so it is not said tuberculosis of bone is more better than the chronic osteomyelitis, because if some person is suffering with tuberculosis of the bone, it can be treated effectively 100%. But in case of chronic osteomyelitis, it is difficult, or this is very difficult, or you can say never you can treat the chronic osteomyelitis completely 100% sure. So this is very important. So control the acute osteomyelitis, converting into the chronic osteomyelitis is very key point. So you know chronic osteomyelitis is very difficult to treat. How the systemic symptoms like fever, malaise, swelling, these are absent. These are very few will absent in this case of systemic symptoms get subsided. One or more foci in the bone may contain, one or more foci may remain in the bone, and that start purulent material, infected glandular tissue, and sequestration. Chronic osteomyelitis get exacerbated intermittently. It can over years. It remain dormant for years, and occasionally it will come and start with acute stage. It will come soon. So if you give rest and proper antibiotic, it gets subsided, but it may reoccur after months or after years. So you never say chronic osteomyelitis is treated 100%. So it's very difficult. What is the hallmark? How can you say it is case of chronic osteomyelitis? This is hallmark of this chronic osteomyelitis is infected dead bone. Infected dead bone within a compromised soft tissue envelope. Compromised soft tissue envelope. Within the compromised soft tissue envelope, there is infected dead piece of bone is there. That is the hallmark of chronic osteomyelitis. Of chronic osteomyelitis is infected dead bone. If infected foci surrounded by sclerotic means thickened, hard, sclerotic avascular bone caused by thickened, covered by this bone, avascular bone is covered by thickened periosteum, scarred muscle and subcutaneous tissue. It is lying like this. This dead piece of bone is here. Dead piece of bone is here. The scar is dead piece of bone is here. It is located inside the bone. This is communicating with outside discharging cells. So this area is completely covered by soft tissues, muscles, and periosteum, and in between this is called sequestration. This is called sequestration, and normal bone formed around the infected bone is called involucrum. This is sequestration. This is involucrum. And this is cloaca. So you always find out this is must have a infected foci. Sequestration is there. What is sequestration? It is a avascular bone. It is infected bone covered by the surrounding normal soft tissues or by the normal reacting bone, that is involucrum. Systematic antibiotic is ineffective in chronic osteomyelitis. Systemic antibiotic is very ineffective in this case because your systemic antibiotic goes into the blood, from blood it goes into the area where blood is flowing, but this area have no blood supply. This is completely separated from your normal body. So your blood is not going there, your circulation is not going there, so your antibiotic is also not going there. So your antibiotic is usually ineffective in chronic osteomyelitis. So generally it requires surgical treatment. If in case of chronic acute osteomyelitis, it can be avoided, it can be treated by antibiotic, but in case of chronic osteomyelitis, you must need aggressive treatment, aggressive surgical treatment to remove this sequestrum. This is very important. And this is the classification, you can remember or not, it's not for me, it is very important for you. It is, if anatomical, it is medullary, it is involved in the medullary cavity, it is a medullary one. If it is outside the infection, is outside the cortex, it is called superficial. If it is localized in some area, it is localized, or it is diffuse in the whole bone, it is called diffuse type. So anatomically, and it is host type. If it reacts normal human being, it is normal. If human being is compromised or something is prohibitory. So these are the classification. It's really not important. You have to memorize or not. It's not important. Yes. How to diagnose a case of chronic osteomyelitis? It rests on clinical, laboratory, imaging, and biopsy. So first of all, we discuss about the clinical diagnosis. You may find a discharging sinus. A discharging sinus, normally you find patient will come to you, sir, something is coming out from this area or that area. So something is coming out, something like discharging sinus is there. If you palpate in the air, that area is tender. If you palpate the bone, it is thickened and irregular, you may find, you must suspect it is stable or not. So in fact, sometimes this infection break the bone and that leads to fracture, pathological fracture. In this case also osteomyelitis. So you have to look for this thing clinically. It is discharging sinus, it is thickened and irregular bone, there is a tenderness. So you might suspect it might be a case of chronic osteomyelitis. Then you come for the, and also you see for the neurovascular bundles also, what is the status of your limb. If it is compromised, so think accordingly. And laboratory diagnosis. Laboratory diagnosis is not very useful. Usually ESR and CRP is raised. This is very important. In chronic osteomyelitis, usually ESR and CRP is raised, but WBC count is increased only in 35% of cases. Only in 35% cases you may find increased WBC count. And imaging, especially plain radiography, is very, very important. Plain radiography is very, very important. In X-ray, you will find there is a periosteal reaction and bone destruction. Periosteal reaction and bone destruction. Suppose this is a bone, there is an infection is come to this area. So when the pus is coming to this areas, subperiosteal areas, it elevates the periosteum. In reaction to that elevation, again the periosteum deposited the bone in the related areas. So one layer, two layers, three layers. So multiple layers you may find in case of especially in case of periosteal reaction. So some bone, there is bone, and after the bone you find some gap, and after that you find again the bone. So this is called periosteal reaction. So you may find periosteal reaction or some bone destruction is also. The cortical break is there. If you find a cortical break in the bone or periosteal reaction, it is almost a confirmatory diagnosis of this case of chronic osteomyelitis and early stage. In later stage, you may find in the bone X-ray is a sequestrum also. You may find a sequestrum also. Dead piece of bones there lying there. You may find in later case also. So these are so pain radiography is very important, very important diagnostic tool in the hands of orthopedic surgeon in case of chronic osteomyelitis. And sonogram. Sonography is also very important for planning. So sonography, you put some material, so inject the material through the sinuses. Should look at the way which how this track is there. So it is very useful in during surgical treatment, surgical operation. It is very helpful. Sonography is very helpful in planning the operation. And CT scan is also very important if you might miss in case of CT and X-ray in radiography, but you might find. It is very important in identifying the sequestrum in bone. So CT may be helpful in that case. MRI is helpful to delineate the bony areas and the soft tissue edemas. Biopsy is the gold standard. If you do, it will take a bone biopsy and send for biopsy and culture and sensitivity. Accordingly, you give the proper antibiotic. So biopsy is the gold standard of the diagnosis of the chronic osteomyelitis. It might be sometimes you find periosteal reactions in other infection. Suppose it is a case of Ewing's tumor. In case of Ewing's tumor, you find onion peel appearance, just like periosteal reactions in chronic osteomyelitis. So you can miss with the you are going to treat the case of chronic osteomyelitis, going to operate, but it is case of Ewing's sarcoma, it's a bone tumor, it's a totally different treatment. So you might need biopsy. So biopsy is very confirmatory diagnosis. If your radiograph or laboratory test and clinical fish all matches there, so it is confirmatory. It is a case of biopsy is also confirming. Yes, it is a case of if you are dot. If there is dot, it might be chronic osteomyelitis or something else. So you must go for biopsy. This is the gold standard. And if you diagnose, and your diagnosis is based on these parameters.
Yes, sir.
Now come to the treatment part of chronic osteomyelitis. As you know, in case of chronic osteomyelitis, there is dead piece of bone, there is avascular areas. So normally antibiotic is not sufficient, so you have to go for surgical removal of the tissue. Surgical removal of the tissue. How you will do? The name is sequestrectomy and suturization. You have to remove the sequestrum, dead piece of bone. If this there, you have to remove that, and at the same time the surrounding area, this local areas, you have to remove the soft tissues of the whatever the dead piece is there, dead bone is there, sclerotic margins are there. So you remove the sclerotic margins also and make the cavity which is a cup shape, make it saucer shape. Saucer means प्याला. saucer चाय and प्याला, चाय जो पीते हो कप और प्याले, तो चाय का जो प्याला होता है उसको saucer बोलते हैं. तो saucer shape. So anything cannot remain for long time. So it will just remove. So whatever the collection is there, it will spill out. So you have to do sequestrectomy and suturization. This is one treatment. Another treatment is Pepinus technique. What is done in this case? In this case, Pepinus technique, you have to remove the bone, remove the piece of bone, sequestrum, and so you make this area like this. So cut this area, and like this separate. So this area, this empty area, it is covered with the bone, autogenous bone graft you should cover, and then soft tissue will cover this area. So it can, if you are confirmed, you have removed each and every bit of avascular tissue from there, it's totally normal there, then you have to put this autogenous bone graft from the iliac crest to this area to fill up the gap. But this is very important. If you are in suspicion, it is quite good or not, so wait for a few days, start dressing after cicatrization. If there is a fine recent tissue, the healthy recent tissue you feel, you see, then again second step you can do this procedure, and it is also effective because it helps in the union of these areas. So fracture, you might prevent the fracture, further fracture in the long run. So this technique is also very important. Technique. Another technique, how to fill. There is another way of filling this area is PMA antibiotic beads. What is PMA antibiotic bead? Polymethyl methacrylate. Polymethyl methacrylate is a powder, is a cement, is a bone cement. It's not PMA is nothing but a bone cement. In bone cement, you mix the antibiotic and make a bead of it, and then put it there in this infected area. Why it is important? It is because local delivery of the antibiotic is very high in this case. Because this area is avascular. How much you have removed? You have not to cut the whole bone. So if you cut the whole bone, it becomes you lying down in the fracture. You converting the pathological fracture. This is very important. So you cannot each and every bits of the bone. So in that case, you have to, which is PMA antibiotic beads is very important. If you put it there, it will remain for long times, at least for 4 weeks or 6 weeks, not more than 80 days. It is recommended. So what are the antibiotics used? Penicillin, ceftriaxone, and clindamycin. Or some may use vancomycin also. Vancomycin. But normally, penicillin, ceftriaxone, clindamycin, and aminoglycosides like gentamicin. Normally, commercially available PMA antibiotic bead is made up of gentamicin. So gentamicin you put there, it remains for 6 weeks, remove it. If it is normal, antibiotic then infection is controlled, then put this bone graft or some other procedure you can go. Normally fluoroquinolone, tetracycline or polymyxin is not used because when you put the bone cement, you are mixing with the diluent, there is exothermic reactions. So exothermic reactions liberate the heat and that damage the fluoroquinolone, tetracycline. So it is not very useful to do in this case. And another way of doing this treatment is biodegradable antibiotic delivery system. So how to deliver the antibiotic? One way is PMA, another way is biodegradable antibiotic delivery system. It is made of calcium phosphate or calcium sulfate or hydroxyapatite. So these biodegradable things are engulfed in the body. It is degraded in the body. It is not necessary to remove it. In case of these antibiotic beads, you have to remove, but in biodegradable remove, it's not necessary to remove it. The body itself become a part of body, and this antibiotic is released slowly in very high dose in this avascular area, in this ischemic zone, and when infection is controlled for a long time. And after that, you can put some bone graft or something else or soft tissue infection you can do. Whatever the things is soft tissue coverage. What is very important? This is very important. It has been documented that muscle flap. The muscle flap is very important in this case in chronic osteomyelitis. 88% success, more than 88% success rate if you put the muscle flap in this area. Suppose your tibia is involved. So you remove the do the sacroiliac and psoariasis and gastrocnemius or soleus muscle you can use as a muscle flap this flap will goes into the cavity, and this muscle flap is a normal viable muscle, so your antibiotic, systemic antibiotic reach easily to there. So this is more important. Muscle flap is very important tool. Even it is better than PMMA. This is better than technique, PMMA, or this biodegradable things. This is muscle flap is very important because it is a muscular, it's a vascular thing. So systemic antibiotic easily reach to this area or control the infection. So this is very important how to cover it. And if your bone is extensively infected, extensive area of bone is infected, extensive area. Suppose this is bit of bone, or this area is also, this whole area is infected. How to control that? So you have to resect it, apply the Iljaro and bone landing. You can do this, cover this bone gap by the bone landing. So this is a step of Iljaro technique. So these are the way to treat the chronic osteomyelitis. So now you have covered the whole infection state. One is acute osteomyelitis, other is chronic osteomyelitis. If you have any questions in your mind, you can ask and I will give you the answer. Okay, thank you.